Begin with a historic political upset tonight. Voters in Alabama have just elected their first Democratic U.S. Senator in 25 years.
And that vote is a major defeat for the Republican Party and President Trump and will make their fragile hold on the U.S. Senate even more unstable. Here are the latest returns. Former U.S. Prosecutor Doug Jones narrowly defeats former Alabama Supreme Court Chief Justice Roy Moore by 21,000 votes. Close, but remember, Alabama is a solid Republican state where Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton last year by 26%.
KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with this vote and why it has tremendous national impact.
It does. You know, we've certainly had our share of amazing political events in the last couple of years, right? And this is right in there with them, I think. This was a true election night nail-biter. For most of the night, Republican Roy Moore was riding high with a lead of 60,000 votes at one point. But as the late votes came in from Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, and other cities, Democrat Doug Jones made a big charge on Moore. And tonight, Democrat Jones has been declared the winner of the Alabama Senate election by the thinnest of margins. Now, Doug Jones won this election with the votes of urban residents in Birmingham, Montgomery, and several other cities, the votes of millennials, and the votes of African Americans who turned out in big numbers. And it was the write-in votes that won the night for Jones in many respects. There were 22,000 write-in votes, and Jones won by about 21,000 votes.
Folks, we have come so far. We have come so far, and the people of Alabama have spoken. They have said to each other that this, I have said from the very beginning, this campaign has never been about me. It's never been about Roy Moore. It has been about every one of you and your sons and daughters. This entire race has been about dignity and respect. This campaign has been about common courtesy and decency and making sure everyone in this state, regardless of which zip code you live in, is going to get a fair shake in life.
Now, Judge Moore spoke to his supporters about 30 minutes ago, and he refused to concede. He says the vote is too close, and there are mail-in and military votes still to be counted. Now, Alabama law calls for an automatic recount if the candidates are only 0.5% apart. But we're not that close tonight. Judge Moore says confirming the vote is in God's hands.
And realize when the vote is this close that it's not over. And we've still got to go by the rules about this recount provision. But we also know that God is always in control. You know, part of the problem with this campaign is we've been painted in an unfavorable and unfaithful light. We've been put in a hole, if you will. And it reminds me.
Trump tweeted months ago, congratulations. I'm sorry, he didn't tweet months ago. He tweeted tonight saying congratulations to Doug Jones on a hard-fought victory. The write-in votes, he said, played a very big factor, but a win is a win. The people of Alabama are great, and the Republicans will have another shot at this seat in a very short period of time. It never ends, he wrote. Now, the political significance of tonight's major upset in Alabama is immense, and you can be sure the fallout from this election is rocking the nation's capital. For a Democrat to win in what is arguably the most conservative state in the country, or certainly one of them, is pretty shocking. The first time in 25 years that a Democrat's been elected to the Senate from Alabama, and there will be plenty of fallout coming.
Yeah, I think the last time a Democrat won was in 1992, Dave. So
yes.
We have that. But we should make note.
A lot of people who voted today weren't even born the last time a
Absolutely.
Democrat won a Senate seat.
We should make note that Jones's term will expire in 2020. So this election tonight goes into the year 2020.
That's right.
But let's talk a little bit about now the narrow margin, if you will, that the GOP has. It's now 51 to 49, 51 being GOP. Will there now be more compromises when it comes to legislation. You know, we still have the tax bill and a lot of things yet to come. Will they have to compromise more?
That's right. That's right. Well, it would seem that's the case. I mean, the Republicans, as we've all seen in the last few months, have had trouble passing with a slightly larger majority. It's certainly not going to help the fact that it's going to be 51 to 49 now, which makes them very vulnerable. Even the Tax Reform Act is still a work in progress. It's in conference right now. So you're right. Most of the president's legislative agenda is still yet to come. And now this makes it tougher, I think, for him to get these things across without at least some moderate Democrat votes.
And do you think the Senate will be in play, in 2018 as a result of this? I mean, you've got the midterms coming up. Do you think that this will change the balance there?
Well, it's hard to know at this point. I mean, but I can tell you this. I think that the fallout from this, the political fallout, may, have some impact on the 2018 midterms. The question is this a reflection of what's happening across America, or is it more a reflection of the sex charges against Roy Moore? Much simpler, much more limited, and something that wouldn't really necessarily have any effect on other elections in 2018.
Now, what do you make of the fact that he is refusing to concede tonight? A lot of people saying demanding a recount would not be a smart move. What kind of effect can that have?
I'm not surprised that they're not conceding. I mean, when you get this close out of 1.3 million votes cast, it's hard to give up, right? When you're losing by 20,000 votes here. But as I said, this falls outside the automatic recount margin. So that means they would have to pay for it if they want a recount. They could pay for a limited, form of recount. As he said, the military votes have not been counted. But the Secretary of State in Alabama today said that all the mail-in votes have been counted. Yeah. And he said he doubts there are enough votes uncounted to change the margin here, or at least change the outcome, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
What's very interesting is, Mitch McConnell came out and told Moore to step down, to step out of the race. We had a lot of GOP members against Moore, some notable ones, Speaker Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney, Alabama Senator Richard Shelby, a number of people. So what happens next? Because this was kind of, if you will, the establishment won in a way because they didn't get the candidate. At the same point in time, you got Bannon, who lost as well. I mean, there's a lot of losers. Who are the big winners when it comes to the GOP side? Anybody at all?
Well, the GOP party now is becoming more and more divided. It didn't start out this way a year or two ago, but it seems now that this division is becoming wider and wider. So maybe the big winner is the Democrats if they're able to take advantage of that, because this is really not a united party. And this election, I think, really put a premium on that, really drew attention to the fact that they're really kind of two parties within one. And we'll see if they can unite and come together for the midterm elections. I would think they sure as heck better try, because, like you say, in the Senate, the margin is really razor thin right now, and they need some wins next year.
All right. Dave Bryan, thank you so much.
Sure.